Well, welcome. Today there has been a lot of drop and terrible news. That opening song, I called that Guns and Bombs, I think. Is that what I called it? I called it something. Yeah, Guns and Bombs Scum. I have the music video uploaded on my channel somewhere. You can probably find that if you want to. If anybody watches this, you can find it. It's there. This is one of the things that, I'm like, even for conservatives, you wanted another, thing of Trump, really? Because I remember the first go around, every day it was waking up going like, oh my God, what did he do now? And yeah, I wake up this morning and it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, like boom, 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 boom. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. So, I already ran into somebody who was asking me about something the Supreme Court was doing. They're like, oh my God, they're going to overturn Obergefell v. Hodges. And I was like, no, that's not one of the cases they're overviewing. And actually, the article that talked about it was one that I went over on this yesterday. This is what I mean. Like, I don't know why people aren't paying attention to news. They get their news from stuff like this. And it's like, if you read your news, you're going to learn about it a lot sooner. I promise you. Like, this article here, get that pulled up. Okay. It was issued yesterday, but some of these were, they came out at like 3 in the morning. So I love Associated Press. I really trust them. Trump's use of National Guard sets up a legal clash testing presidential power. The way that this was worded on Yahoo was that it would create a constitutional crisis. We've already been in a constitutional crisis for a while now because there's tons of constitutional violations going on. That's why we don't currently actually technically live in a democracy. We are in a declining democracy. President Donald Trump's latest bid to deploy the military on U.S. soil over local opposition is triggering new conflict with blue state governors that is playing out in the courts as Trump envisages a country where armed soldiers patrol U.S. streets. Trump has already pushed traditional boundaries by using the National Guard domestically, envisioning a masculine role for the U.S. military and targeting illegal immigration and crime in American cities. His attempt to deploy California National Guard members to Oregon and Texas Guardsmen to Illinois is a sprawling use of presidential power. Next step in lawsuits filed by Democrat-led states will likely address significant questions of constitutional law, federalism, and the separation of powers. That's another reason why we're a democracy in decline. The separation of powers isn't there. Trump has just assumed the powers of all three branches of government into one, just like Project 2024 said it was going to do, setting up a potential collision between the courts and Trump's aggressive use of the National Guard. At the gathering of military brass last week, Trump called for using U.S. cities as a training ground for troops and warned of an invasion from within. To his critics, however, Trump's use of the National Guard amounts to frightening use of force against Americans. What will happen when the president loses in court, said Alex Reinhart, a constitutional law expert at the Cardozo School of Law in New York City. Will he use it as an excuse to act in an even more authoritarian way? Don't give him ideas. An expanding role for the National Guard not seen before. Rifle-wielding troops on American streets are one of the starkest manifestations of Trump's attempt to expand presidential power, with troops already deployed to Los Angeles and Washington, D.C., and Memphis, and Portland, Oregon, and now Chicago, with U.S. citizens being detained and arrested with no warrant. Control over a state's National Guard typically falls to the governor unless units are federalized as they were in California over the governor's objections. Otherwise, it's up to the governor to decide to deploy Guard members or send them to other states to assist with natural disasters. In D.C., Trump commands the Guard himself. Local authorities, Trump says, have failed to safeguard communities, giving several Democrat-led cities as examples. He's called Portland war-ravaged, and it's not. If you've seen videos of people that live in Portland, it's not ravaged. The only people ravaging Portland right now are ICE. It's ICE. And a war zone. Again, it's not a war zone. ICE is going in and fucking things up like crazy. And that's being suppressed in the TikTok algorithm, by the way. TikTok does not recognize Portland, Oregon as a place on the map. You cannot tag it anymore. They are suppressing any videos coming out of Portland, Oregon, because they don't want you to see people walking in the park minding their own business and not doing anything illegal. They want you to see the bullshit that ICE is doing. That's true. It's just true. Go look it up. Like, I can't do everything for everybody. It's burning down, and it's like a living hell. Yeah, fuck you, Trump. Yeah. Mm-hmm. However, the nearly 150-year-old Posse Comitatus Act limits the military's role in enforcing domestic laws, reflecting America's longstanding belief that law enforcement should remain in civilian hands. Trump was asked Monday about another law, the Insurrection Act, and he said he would be willing to invoke it if necessary. I know people that have argued, like libertarian types, right-wing people types that have argued with me, that they did not appreciate Bush Jr.'s Insurrection Act thing. And now they seem completely okay with this. This is where I just have. I don't think you can engage in a good faith argument or debate with a right winger anymore, because they don't seem to have any values, any principles. They are as malleable as Plato. Whatever Trump does is fine. It doesn't matter how much he wipes his ass with the Constitution, which they have argued in the past is like their Bible. It doesn't fucking matter anymore. It's like, I don't think right-wingers have any values or morals, like fixed principles anymore. I don't believe it. They've not demonstrated this to me. You know, they could sit there and say, oh, I absolutely believe and support the Constitution fully, 100% through and through, protection of free speech. And then as soon as any of that gets attacked, they turn around and go, well, here's some excuses of why violating the Constitution right now is okay. Well, you can't call yourself a constitutionalist then, can you? Fuck off. Like, you cannot engage in a good faith debate or argument with somebody who does that. That's not good faith at all. That's horseshit. It allows the president to dispatch active duty military in states that are unable to put down an insurrection or are defying federal law. There's no insurrection. And defying federal law, well, that requires crossing state lines. If I had to enact it, I'd do that, Trump said. If people were being killed and courts were holding us up, or governors or mayors were holding us up, he added, we would have to make sure our cities are safe. They are safe. Like, I live in a city that is reportedly a very high crime rate city, and I got to tell you, I'm not worried about anything. I'm not. I don't need. I don't feel like I need to own a gun. I'm not worried about somebody breaking into my house. Like, I'm really not worried about it. I'm not worried about it. I don't know what he's talking about. Well, I mean, it's pretty clear that he's just trying to stretch, outreach his authority and power grab. That's what this is. That's what it is. Anyway, you guys are framing this like the president wants to take over the American cities with the military, because that's what he wants to do, obviously. Levitt told reporters Monday the president wants to help those local cities who have been completely ineffective in securing their own cities. What? Who asked you? Like, where are you getting this from? Nobody said that. U.S. officials say the decisions to send federalized troops from Texas and California to other states are being made at the highest levels of Trump administration, bypassing formal Pentagon policy processes that would normally be part of troop deployments. Fuck, I went too far. While this dynamic is not unheard of, one official said it's typically used in situations like natural disasters where troops need to move out quickly before formal orders and authorizations. The officials all spoke on condition of anonymity to discuss the internal situation. One result is that governors like California's Gavin Newsom and Illinois' J.B. Pritzker, both Democrats, have become the first to announce troop deployments. Pentagon public affairs officials have struggled to confirm or deny the actions and troop numbers, facing pressure to avoid giving even basic details of military operation and to defer questions to the White House. The situation is far different from President John F. Kennedy's move to federalize the Alabama National Guard in 1963 to integrate the University of Alabama in a standoff with Governor George Wallace. That is because Trump is ostensibly seeking to use troops to protect federal property and personal, not to enforce federal civil rights laws passed by Congress, according to William Banks, a Syracuse University law professor. I've never heard of this university, and an expert in constitutional law and national security. The Guard members cannot enforce local law, block traffic, or do any of the things that police do, Banks said. So it's more symbolic than helpful. Legal challenges set up a clash over Trump's deployments, and there's already been a clash between local law enforcement and ICE and what they're doing. Like the police in these cities have had it. They've been attacked by ICE. They've been pepper sprayed and shit. So they're actually pursuing lawsuits against this, and I think that they should. I do, absolutely. Leaders in Illinois, Oregon, and California have sued, while top White House figures blasted a Trump-appointed judge's decision to block the deployment in Portland. Stephen Miller, a top Trump advisor, suggested it's the courts that have ignored constitutional limits. Courts have been saying don't do this. A district court judge has no conceivable authority whatsoever to restrict the president and commander-in-chief from yes, they do, actually. That's the branches of government, the different powers, not being recognized anymore. Why we have a declining democracy. That is actually one of the issues here. Dispatching members of the U.S. military to defend federal lives and property. Miller posted on X. You don't know what federal law is, then, stupid Miller. Like, no. Judges are not likely to be swayed by the bluster, legal experts say. Instead, they will look at whether Trump's orders violate the Constitution and federal laws governing how the guard is used. Well, he's already violated that. We don't need to look. You just need to. We already know that is a constitutional violation. We've been in a constitutional crisis since like January or February. What are you talking about? What the shit are you talking about? This is ongoing. Trump's opponents have relied on the court systems to slow down his agenda, with the Republican-controlled Congress largely not checking his expansion of power. Exactly. While litigation piling up, Trump officials have shown disdain for judges and decisions they oppose, but so far have avoided the direct kind of confrontation that legal experts say could do real harm. The potential that they would defy an order from federal court is very worrisome, being said. That's our backstop. That's what we have in the United States to keep our democracy on the rails. Yeah, no shit. Trump's attempt to deploy California National Guard members to Oregon is a clear violation of the law and a flagrant attempt to circumvent the judge's weekend ruling, according to Elizabeth, an expert on presidential powers. Goten Senior's director of the Library of National Security Program. Blah, 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 blah. I think we're done with this article. Moving on to the next one. FBI analyzed phone records of senators as part of Trump January 6 probe. This is interesting. I'm curious about this because, hi, Lafayette. I don't know if you want me to use your real name. I know your real name, but I see you. This is interesting. The FBI is doing this because I think this has to do with Trump just pulling out of his ass that the insurrection was done by FBI agents, which was not something anyone was saying until pretty much recently, except maybe in very conspiratorial circles. The fact, the FBI did investigate the January 6ers and locked a lot of them up, and then, of course, Trump pardoned him, and now we're full circle back to FBI wanting to look at January 6th insurrection for some reason, but now they're looking at politicians' phone logs. I think you should look at, is he in this picture? He is not in this picture. Mike Johnson's phone logs. You might find some Grindr use on there, I hear. The FBI in 2023 analyzed phone records of more than half a dozen Republican lawmakers as part of an investigation into efforts by President Donald Trump to overturn the results of the 2020 election, according to information released Monday by GOP senators. What? So now the calls coming from inside the House, he's turning on his own Republican Party because he thinks that they tried to overturn the election. It's not just the Democrats anymore, you guys. It's the Republicans. The records enabled investigators to see basic information about the date and time of the calls, but not the content of the communications, the senator said. The data encompassed several days during the week of January 6, 2021, when pro-Trump rioters stormed the U.S. Capitol in a bid to halt the certification of the election results. The disclosure adds new detail to the since shuttered investigation by the FBI and former special counsel Jack Smith into the steps Donald Trump and allies took in the run-up to the Capitol riot to undo his election loss to Democrat Joe Biden. Trump was indicted in August of 2023 on charges of conspiring to overturn the results, but the case was abandoned after Trump's win the following year in light of a Justice Department legal opinion that says sitting presidents cannot face federal prosecution. That case is still sitting there. The subpoena for the phone records was disclosed by several Republican senators, including Chuck Grassley of Iowa, who chairs the Judiciary Committee that oversees the FBI. Grassley, UK, document memorializing the preliminary toll analysis was produced in response to his request. The investigation was authorized by a grand jury by the senators. Grassley called it a violation of personal property and people's rights and the law and their constitutional rights. That document was dated September 27, 2023, and lists the following Republican lawmakers as people whose records were apparently scrutinized: Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina, Senator Bill Hagerty of Tennessee, Senator Josh Hawley of Missouri, Senator Dan Sullivan of Alaska, Senator Tommy Tuberville of Alabama, Senator Ron Johnson of Wisconsin, Senator Cynthia Loomis of Wyoming, Senator Marsha Blackburn, Representative Mike Kelly. Okay. The document indicated that the analysis was conducted by an FBI special agent whose name was redacted and that it was authorized by supervisory agents. It does not say how or why those lawmakers were identified or whether any meaningful tips or leads emerged from that investigative work. Why would there be? I mean, we're just rehashing shit at this point. This is crazy. Why is he doing this? Oh, Kash Patel. Let's keep... I think we're going to get to the crux of it because we have a podcaster running our FBI. And who is totally loyal to Trump with no questions. No criticism. None. See you in Valhalla, brother, because apparently he's into Norse mythology. Most lawmakers were part of a group of Republicans who planned to challenge the results of the 2020 presidential election after voting was disrupted by the rioters on January 6, 2021. Some voted to certify the results, while others still voted against certification. The senators said they would not be conducting their own investigation because the expected FBI Director Kash Patel and Deputy Director Dan Bongino, both Trump loyalists. They're Trump loyalists. I literally think, like no lie, if Trump wanted Kash Patel to suck his dick, I think Kash Patel would get on his knees and do it. I don't think Trump could get hard or anything, and I bet you it's covered in bathroom stuff because he wears Depends. But I think Kash Patel would do it. I think that is how much of a follower Kash Patel is. I mean, you know, he went up there going, really, we're going to release the Epstein files, super important, pedophilia bad too. What Epstein files? I don't know what you're talking about. Okay. To review the matter, Grassley suggested that more people at the FBI would be fired over the investigation. Oh, she's going to fire anybody. More FBI agents are going to be fired because 20,000 isn't enough. Cool. Our FBI is going to be like rendered a husk and a shell of what it used to be. Fantastic. This is why I don't have faith that they're going to go after leftists like me. By following the money. Because that's something I have a lot of as a disabled man who doesn't work and can barely even do fucking YouTube. Yeah, you're going to follow the money and you're going to find me. Radical leftist. Sure. This is why I have no faith in it. None. He's laid off so many people that had the credentials, the experience, and everything needed to actually be an FBI person to do the job. People who've had the training, the education, the experience. Poof! Gone. You kneeled for the George Floyd, whether you voted Democrat or Republican. Poof! Gone. Now he's going to go ahead and fire these people who investigated the January 6th thing. And you think that this FBI can get something done? Being ran by podcasters. If you think this in your head, you ate paint chips, like lead-based paint chips. I don't know what to tell you. This is not functional. And going back to the Tyler Robinson case, like I said, they fucked that up so bad. The FBI fucked that up so bad. No fingerprints, no DNA, no hair follicles, no video footage, no combing through social media looking for motive. They're just more interested, oh, did he vote Democrat or Republican? Instead of being interested in the motivation. And now that Tyler Robinson, which should be a shut and close case, is falling apart because they did not collect basic bitch ass evidence. And you think Kash Patel, running the FBI, is going to get shit done, laying all these people off that actually know what they're doing more so than he does. Wow. Senate Majority Leader John Thune said on social media that he had grave concerns about the incident. I fully support Senate committees getting to the bottom of this outrageous abuse of power and weaponization of the government, said Thune, a South Dakota Republican. If a crime has been committed, how is it an abuse of government to use the FBI to see if a crime has been committed? Maybe no crime has been committed. Maybe a crime is committed. Let's find out. And they're saying that's a crime. Whee! This is why we live. This is why it's a declining democracy. Supreme Court to weigh key conversion therapy case. What's at stake for minors? Yeah, this one is a big concern to me. I don't think I'll read all of it as a 6-minute read, but everything I have is in the description. I did it right this time. I made sure everything was updated before I went live. So this is in the description. This is a big concern to me. Conversion therapy for LGBTQIA plus people. I don't know how many times I've got to... I mean, one documentary I could recommend, if you don't know about how bad conversion therapy is, Pray Away. They talk about this. It's bad. Okay? It's real bad. There's a PBS special about gay people who've been sent to special underground conversion therapies where even a police officer in the deep south of Alabama went into tears at what they were doing to these teen boys. It's sick shit. It's sick shit. There's also the series Haunted on Netflix. One of them, a guy is metaphorically referring to a gay conversion therapy camp that was created by his local whatever church chapter. It was a nasty church. It was a very cultist church, but they had conversion therapy, and he said, you know, he metaphorical, figuratively speaking, was a demon. Wasn't figurative. He was telling his story of the horrors he went through conversion therapy through his church. Some of these are not legal. And some states are saying, no, it should be legal. This is, you're basically arguing for state-sanctioned torture of LGBTQ people. It's optional, but it's state-sanctioned torture. If you want to torture your LGBTQ teen 17 years old comes out of the closet, hey, I'm gay, I'm lesbian, I'm bi, I'm trans. The parent can say, okay, we're going to torture you so that you're not, and it doesn't work, and the suicide rates of those people go up exponentially. On top of that, one of the things that they do in conversion therapy is they sit you, like, even in the most mild version of it, they do not follow academic standards and practices of psychology. In the PBS special I was talking about, this guy was talking about how they sat him down in front of this psychologist, and the parents were like there and could hear everything, where the psychologist was trying to convince the guy that the reason why he was gay is because his dad molested him when he was a kid and it never happened. So it's not beneficial to the parents either. Okay. Supreme Court on October 7 will debate whether Colorado's ban on conversion therapy for gay and transgender minors violates the free speech rights of a licensed counselor. No, I don't think it does. It's not free speech. Free speech is saying, I think being gay is a choice, even though that's empirically not true. That's free speech, and you can do that. But when you're clocked in as a psychologist, nope, you can't do that. If you don't think you can professionally handle an LGBTQ person, you shouldn't be seeing them. You should refer them to a different doctor. That's the correct thing to do. The other thing, though, was yesterday I read an article where it said that it wanted to make sure that psychologists could not suggest or recommend a sexual orientation or gender to a child, which in their minds they're thinking, oh, a psychologist can't tell you that you're LGBTQ. Except I think that that's an interesting case, and I hope it passes, because if a psychologist cannot decide your sexual orientation or your gender identity, that goes both ways, which means they also can't tell you you're not LGBTQ either. So I think that should pass, and I think that'd be like them sawing their own foot off personally. But I'm giving ideas, and that's bad, so let's just let them do that. So anyway, for gay or transgender violates free speech. Counselor who has the support of Trump administration, of course, says she's engaging in voluntary conversions with clients, and there's no evidence that her approach is harmful. Well, we have studies that shows that people who go through conversion therapy are at a significantly higher risk of suicide. There's a study that says that it's not, and the person who conducted that study did so out of a Catholic church and as a Catholic minister with a psychology degree, who said conversion therapy is okay as long as you do the psychological, I'm going to fuck with your brain stuff, but don't abuse them. And that's where that study came from. And he only did it on like 10 people. Hardly what I would call a study. Hardly. Colorado argues the states have long had the ability to protect patients by regulating healthcare professionals. State officials also say the evidence shows trying to change someone's sexual orientation or gender identity doesn't work and can lead to depression, anxiety, loss of faith, and suicidality. Again, if you're a straight guy, a straight girl, just imagine if somebody said, you have to be with the same sex. You have to live with them. You have to be with them. like you're lovers, like you're married. You even have to have sex with each other. You have to. You have to live like a couple. Can you imagine what that would do to your psyche, to your mind, to your mental state? You crumble into pieces. I'm going on to the next one. Like I said, that's a long article. I don't have time for all that. So this one I'm kind of interested in because we knew this was coming, and TikTok has already been doing like massive algorithm suppression, like anything critical of Israel and talking about the genocide in Gaza, suppression. Anything talking about Portland, Oregon not being a war zone, suppression. Portland, Oregon doesn't even exist. Not even on the map. Doesn't exist. I mean, the amount of things that you cannot say on TikTok is crazy, too, that you can say here on YouTube. You see these people that upload on TikTok and YouTube, and instead of saying Nazi, they say Yahtzee because they're doing it on TikTok. And if they say Nazi on TikTok, they'll get suppression, but you don't on YouTube. And I'm just like, why don't you all just come over to YouTube? YouTube just has become, like, the place where you can go, where you can do whatever you want. Fuck. I think. Okay, there we go. There was latency. I think we got it. It's cool. I hate it when the latency happens. That makes me nervous. I hate that shit's fucking annoying. So I'm curious, like, because we know about the buyouts and everything like that. So okay, let's see what's going on here. Let's take a look at this video.
Remember when TikTok almost got banned? Well, that drama isn't exactly over. The company has still been close to getting banned for months due to a law that requires it to find a new owner outside of China. But inside the company, employees told me that Chinese leadership is actually taking over more control of the U.S. business, not less. U.S. executives have left the company in the past year, and as they've exited, Chinese leaders have taken over. Some employees told me they now have to take meetings late at night to accommodate colleagues in China. Others said they've struggled to work with documents that are translated from Mandarin. TikTok is currently owned by ByteDance, a Chinese tech company, and US politicians don't like that. They're worried that the Chinese government could use TikTok to spread propaganda or collect data on American citizens. TikTok has previously said neither action has happened. The current plan is to separate TikTok in the US from its Chinese ownership. There's been a mad rush to try to buy the app from tech companies and billionaires and even public figures like Mr. Beast. The entire business could change if a sale of the US app goes through. But with the US and China embroiled in a trade war, there's still a ton of obstacles ahead.
Don't. Cool. I don't wanna listen to more of it. So that is going back a while. I don't know. I thought it was already bought by somebody. Oh, that reminds me. Seeing that there was something else back here on this one. Karen Lovett shuts down Caitlin Collins over National Guard Portland deployment. Go on the ground and take a look. Video.
A federal judge over the weekend that the president had appointed to the bench in his first term in office basically argued that he could not deploy other states' National Guards to Portland. Basically said that it was untethered, his argument, to what is actually happening on the ground. Which local officials in Portland have said that the National Guard is needed there?
With all due respect to that judge, I think her opinion is untethered in reality and in the law. The president is using his authority as Commander-in-Chief, U.S. Code 12406, which clearly states that the president has the right to call up the National Guard in cases where he deems it's appropriate. And if you look at what has happened in Portland, Oregon, for more than 100 nights, I was talking to our law enforcement team about it this morning, for more than 100 days, night after night after night, the ICE facility has been really under siege by the...
No, it hasn't. This is all lies. Like, if you go and you look at social media, like people who live in Portland, Oregon, they are recording this shit in real time. Carolyn Levitt, she's just fucking lying. Like, just blatant lies. We have a banana republic. Declining democracy. Watch democracy just fall and burn. Just a bunch of bullshit.
Anarchists outside. They have been
bullshit.
Disrespecting law enforcement. They've been.
There was like 10 people. 10 people. 10 protesters with signs made out of cardboard that ICE pepperballed, pepper sprayed, dum-dum bullets, and made playgrounds so full of toxins that children can't even play on them. and even pepper sprayed and pepperballed and tear gassed the fucking cops. The local police are being attacked by ICE in Portland.
Inciting violence. We saw, again, a guillotine rolled out in front of this federal building.
We saw a guillotine rolled out in front of the federal building. That was your guys, Carolyn Levitt. Like, I love this twist of reality. Like, the stupidity of all this. And we're just going to pretend that was the radical left. That wasn't a bunch of January 6ers that did that. Nah, bitch. Nah, you fucking lying. Ooh.
And so the president wants to ensure that our federal buildings and our assets are protected. And that's exactly what he's trying to do. And ultimately...
Then what's he doing in Portland, Oregon? Your federal building down here, what in D.C., what you doing in Portland, Oregon?
The case in Los Angeles, that judge ruled in the Ninth Circuit...
Why aren't you at Oregon's capital? Why are you in Portland if that's what you want to do?
That panel of judges ruled that those troops could remain and that the president was well within his authority to do so. So
he's not well in his authority. He's abusing it.
We are appealing that decision. As you know, we expect a hearing on it pretty...
Why are you appealing a decision if they ruled in your favor? If you're appealing the decision, it's because they didn't rule in your favor.
And we're very confident in the president's legal authority to do this, and we're very confident we will win on the merits of the law.
But no local officials that you can point to that have said we need the National Guard? Because I spoke to the police chief of Portland last week. He said that the president's claims just don't match up with what's happening on the ground.
They don't.
I would encourage you as a reporter to go on the ground and to take a look at for
They have.
yourself. Because
they've attacked the reporters. They've attacked the reporters. Like, they've been sent to the hospital with massive head injuries.
There's been many members of the press, not press in this room, but independent journalists, some of whom we'll be inviting to the White House very soon to share their stories.
Shut the fuck up. Okay, we went over that one. Trump considers cutting refugee intake to 7,500, focusing on white South Africans, officials say. So we don't mind, all the MAGA people, boo immigrants, boo immigrants. What about white immigrants? Oh, yeah, that's okay. That's fine. We can have white immigrants. And for people to pretend like that's not racist, I don't know. Because I bet a lot of people would be just flabbergasted to find out how many white illegal immigrants are in America. They exist. European people that have come here illegally or have come here through the legal process and are now illegal because they do that's the majority of illegal immigration statuses. They come here legally, their visas, their work visas and shit expire, and they are now illegal. You'd be surprised how many white European illegal immigrants are here. It's real bad. Like near the coast in California, I hear. I don't know that for sure. But I find this really interesting of like, boo immigration, boo immigration, boo immigration, seeking refugee status, da 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 da. But when it comes to white South African people. Oh, well, they're white. It's okay. And they're going to sit there and pretend that it's not anything to do with that. Oh, and they're Jewish and Christian minorities. Of course. Gay nationalism. Anyway, this is about Trump's desire to want to use the Insurrection Act. President Trump and his top aides are using the word insurrection more frequently to describe anti-ICE protests in places like Portland. He is really grasping it. He wants to deploy the fucking military. He wants martial law. We all know it. He is desperately wanting somebody to act out violently so he can be like, aha! Domestic terrorism, insurrection, and declare martial law. And then, after he does that, he can delay the midterm votes that, at this point, so many people are pissed off. Oh, you can bet your ass there's going to be a ton of seats flipped in the favor of Democrats. And that's what he doesn't want, because if the House and the Senate get filled up with Democrats, they are going to be filing not just for impeachment. They're going to be filing. They're going to gunk up the system so bad they cannot get anything done. So we all know what this is. If you do not think this is like an authoritarian, hostile takeover of the American government, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. None of this is normal. This is not normal. This is not... We are used to seeing this in third world countries. And again, with right-wing people that I've known, I don't want to be a third world. I don't want to be like China, blah, blah, blah. Oh, well, why are we turning into it? I thought you didn't want to be this. But then you do want to be this, but you don't want to be this, but you want to be this. Shut the fuck up. This is why, like, right-wingers have lost all credibility with me. You've lost it. You have no morals, no values, no principles, none. None. Oh, I like freedom of speech, except when they take it away from people I don't like. And then this, Politico. Trump is using mass firings as shutdown, cudgel. Democrats aren't flinching. Yeah, Democrats said, go ahead, fire everybody. You're doing it anyway. We don't care. Russell Vote. I'm not going to tell you what I think about Russell Vote. It's probably illegal. Anyway. Trump says that Diddy asked him for a pardon. This is the second time that this has come out, that Trump has entertained and considered the idea of pardoning Sean Diddy. And, it's kind of like, release the Epstein files. It's just really coincidental how we're having this long government shutdown when we have a Democrat in office that could bring the votes to release the Epstein files and actually get them released. And, Trump it's all the Democrats' fault of the government shutdown. Are you going to open it back? No, I'm not going to do that. Of course you're not. But then you want to... This is not a good look, Trump. Everybody's like, you won the Epstein files, and we all know it. A ton of his supporters have turned their back on Trump because of it. Because the only people who support pedophiles are pedophiles. And you wanna pardon a pedophile with everybody like, you are on the Epstein files. No, I'm not. Okay, release him. Well, Clinton's on him, so arrest him. Yeah, I'm a leftist. I'm saying it. If Clinton's on the Epstein files and he's done bad things, arrest him. Do it. Do it. It's not tolerable. It's not okay. Do it. Blech. Ugh. Acting CDC director calls to break up measles, mumps, and rubella vaccine into 3 shots. I don't know enough about science to know what this is going to do. It just seems kind of pointless. The science has been pretty clear. This is not a dangerous thing. And in fact, less people are getting measles vaccines. And kids are dying from it. We're seeing the first deaths of measles in 20 years because of this anti-vax bullshit. America used to be on the world stage for some things, and if you had any kind of pride in America, that was something you could take pride in. America was looked at as a very credible source for scientific and scientific health information through the NIH, CDC, and FDA. Not anymore. That's gone. That is gone. The moment RFK Jr. and Dr. Oz, 2 people who have no doctorate degrees, they're not doctors, and Dr. Oz has been caught in countless bullshit schemes of selling bullshit to lonely housewives who are bored sitting at home going, oh, I want this thing because it'll help my whatever, even though it's like lemon juice or something, like lemon extract. Like, oh, this will cure things. Yeah, lemon whatever. All the countries have gotten together after, especially the Tylenol stunt, and they're like, nope, America's no longer a credible source. So if you have pride in America, I don't know why you should support any of this. I don't understand it. America's top minds are leaving the fucking country. Top researchers, top medical people, top minds, top academics are fleeing the United States. Do you know where we've seen top minds fleeing the country before? It's actually how we ended up with Albert Einstein. You know, he fled Nazi Germany and came here. And we were able to get nuclear science. That's happening in the United States. We are losing our top minds, our top academic leaders, top scientists, top medical professionals. Poof, gone. Acting CDC Director Jim O'Neill on Monday called on vaccine manufacturers to develop separate shots for measles, mumps, and rubella instead of the current vaccine, which combines the 3. O'Neill wrote in a post on X that manufacturers should replace the MMR vaccine with safe monovalent vaccines, which only target one virus. His statement referenced a recent comment from President Donald Trump, who advised people last month on Truth Social to break up the MMR shot into 3 totally separate shots. However, no monovalent vaccines for measles, mumps, or rubella are approved in the U.S. So we're just not going to have vaccines then. And hopefully we can at least do the 3 shots until we can get monovalents approved. Because if we don't, you're not talking about a resurgence of measles anymore. You're talking about a resurgence of measles, mumps, and rubella. You know, there's an outbreak of bubonic plague in Texas. There's an outbreak of tuberculosis very close to Kansas, alarmingly close to Kansas City, where I live. And there's children are dying from measles that we haven't seen this in 20 years because of the fucking vaccine. And now they're not taking it. So now we're seeing deaths. There's like disease outbreaks everywhere because of this bullshit. And there's real cost to it. There's real victims. People are dying. even these very, 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 very harsh, strict abortion bans are killing women with ectopic pregnancies. You've got dead fetuses inside of women. They're going septic. They're rotting inside the woman's womb, and they're like, nope, can't remove it. That's an abortion. What are we doing? The fucking baby is dead. It's dead. It's already dead, and it's killing the woman. Why are we doing that? Seriously, double-digit women have, possibly more, have died from this. And we got 2 women in prison for 30 years. 2 women in prison for 30 years because they had a miscarriage. An involuntary bodily function. A whole new low for humanity. Something human beings have never punished women for in history. Not even during the Salem witch trials did we punish women for having a miscarriage. It was a part of life. It's nature. It happens. And we've got women in prison for 30 years for the improper disposal of a human corpse because they had a miscarriage. That's like putting you in prison because you had a wet dream. And the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says there is no published scientific evidence that shows a benefit to separating the combined vaccine. It is not clear whether the change O'Neill is calling for is possible or likely to come about. Andrew Nixon, a spokesperson for the Department of Health and Human Services, said standalone vaccinations can potentially reduce the risk of side effects and can maximize parental choice in childhood immunizations. He did not offer evidence for his statement. None of these anti-vaxxers have evidence for his statement about side effects. If you want to see a really good example of how these anti-vaxxy people are full of shit, there's a channel called Rationality Rules. The guy who runs it, he's got a master's degree in philosophy and critical thinking, philosophy and logic and critical thinking. So he knows all the fallacies, like, really, really well. And he went over this with RFK Jr. and Bernie Sanders, actually, who is not an expert in medical science or anything. Neither is RFK Jr. But he points out the ridiculousness of saying millions of health experts worldwide that have nothing to do with big pharma because they're in other countries and shit agree with this. But then RFK Jr. points to like 5 people who agree with him. And he's like, see, I gotcha. I got 5 people. 5 versus the millions world over. Understand how narcissistic that is. The measles, mumps, and rubella vaccine has been available as a combination shot since 1971, in part to reduce the number of injections the child receives. Oh, we're being generous to the children, make it so they don't have to get like multiple vaccines, so they're not hurting all the time. Oh, no, we don't want to do that. We want to poke them with a needle as much as possible. Given that the 3 are administered at the same ages. That's just smart. Breaking up the MMR vaccine into 2-dose regimen in which the first shot is recommended at 12 to 15 months and the second at 4 to 6 years would mean that child would receive 6 injections instead of 2. It's unclear where Trump's advice came from. It came out of his asshole. I'll tell you that right now. The White House is not responsible for setting vaccine or drug use recommendations, thank goodness. At a White House event on September 22nd, the president expressed a preference for individual over combined shots, while at the same time decrying the number of vaccines that kids receive, saying that too many different things are going into that baby at too big and he compared it to like pumping a horse or something, like some fucking ridiculous stupid bullshit funky thing with his addled brain. The MMR, I think, should be taken separately. Yeah, because Trump is an expert. He's got a medical degree that we just secretly don't know about. No, Trump is not a medical expert. Don't listen to him. This is based on what I feel. What happened if facts don't care about your feelings? It seems to be that when you mix them, there could be a problem, so there's no downside in taking them separately. Well, turns out there is, actually. Merck, the pharmaceutical company that has manufactured the MMR vaccine since 1971, said in a statement that use of individual vaccines increases the number of injections for the individual and may result in delayed or missed immunizations, which means your child has a much higher likelihood of being infected with things like rubella, mumps, and measles before they get the vaccine, because you're separating them out into different ones. At the same time, the company added, evidence suggests that use of combination vaccines improves childhood vaccine outcomes, increasing both completion, receipt of all recommended doses, and compliance, age-appropriate administration rates. The U.S. recorded more measles cases this year than any other year since 2000. Yep, like I was saying at the beginning. And the measles outbreaks is not, like I said, it's not the only one. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., which I wish he would fuck off, who is in the past founded an anti-vaccine group. Yeah, okay. Has repeatedly made false claims about measles vaccines, including that they haven't been safety tested, and they've been around since 1971. They've been safety tested. And that their protection is short-lived, and that's not true either. However, Kennedy has also said that people should get the vaccine. The Department of Health and Human Services has already moved to limit access to a combination MMR and chickenpox vaccine for children. You're just trying to kill children at this point. We want babies to die, everybody, but don't abort them, even if they're dead. Let the mother die. That's fine. None of this makes fucking sense. How does the rationale go to this? Like, let children die from diseases. We really care about children. Don't abort them. But it's like not even if they die in the womb, and it's okay if the mother dies, and then once they're out, just don't take them out of the womb. But once they're out, let them die from diseases. What the fuck? They're getting rid of maternity wards too, by the way, especially in rural areas. Those are closing down because the hospitals can't afford them, because of the big beautiful bill and all these cuts and everything that Trump has made to the government. What is the rationale here? Are you for life, against life? I don't understand it anymore. I don't get it. Like I said, no values, no principles, no consistency, fucking none. The CDC's Vaccine Advisory Committee recommended on September 18th against that vaccine for children under 4. O'Neill, who is also the Deputy Health Secretary, signed off on the recommendation last week. Most pediatricians already give young children the chickenpox vaccine and MMR vaccine separately. The committee's recommendation was based on the risk of, some kind of seizures. Oh, yeah. I remember. I've heard about this. Seizures, fevers. You can get a fever high enough that it can cause a seizure. That's a very rare thing, which doctors had known about for years. Contamination, MMR, and chickenpox vaccines can still be given to older kids since there is no evidence of an increased risk of a seizure caused by a fever in that age group. Yeah, because, well, babies are more sensitive. They're still developing, blah, 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 blah. So, yeah, there we go. Okay. I used to debate a lot of, and if Lothier is still in there, he knows this. I used to debate a lot of right-wing people. I don't know what the point is anymore. I don't know what the fucking point is. Like, it's become the example of Jubilee, where you have a bunch of scientists and a bunch of flat earthers in a room, and it's like, find the middle ground. There's no middle ground between a group of conspiracy theorists and a bunch of scientists. There is no middle ground when your position is kill all the LGBTQ people, disabled people, BIPOCs, and fuck women. There's no middle ground there. We're not going to be able to reach a mutual understanding if that's what your position is. And I'm not sure I totally understand that position. What is the goal behind that? Oh, if we get rid of all the LGBTQ people, then magically we'll have a utopian society. First of all, you won't be able to get rid of all the LGBTQ people. Even if you got rid of all the LGBTQ people, within one birth cycle, you'd have more. It's not possible. Second of all, there have been people who have gone out to the middle of nowhere and tried to build a society of just white people before, like a long time ago, during the Civil War, like after the Civil War happened. And what ended up happening is their numbers shrank so much that they ended up being eventually just one family of white people, like buried deep in the middle of nowhere in Appalachia. And they're all like inbreds now, with a life expectancy of like 30. Like, no shit. Like, seriously, you can go look this up if you want. There's a YouTube video about it even. It's bad. It's real bad. But I don't understand the logic here. Is like, what, you get rid of all the LGBTQ people and then you literally have to use the word magic. Oh, suddenly you live in a utopian society. Like, white people don't commit crimes. White people don't piss other white people off. Oh, really? Explain the Civil War to me. Explain what Britain did to the Irish. Know your fucking history. It's just, no, it's not going to happen. If you get rid of all the LGBTQIA plus people, first of all, that's not even possible. Second of all, even if you manage to do it, you're not going to create a perfect world. There's no such thing as a perfect world. None. There has never been a society free of crime, free of drug use. It's never happened. It's never existed. Does not exist. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the goal of that is. I don't know what the objective is, what the hope to accomplish, or if you, whatever they hope to accomplish, like why they think it'll accomplish that, because it won't. So I don't the sole basis is a principle of politics of just being a horrible human being that's murderous. cruelty, oppression, suppression, uniformity, conformity, identitarian, collectivism, homogeneous, homogeneity, even. Things that I personally am not a fan of. I'm too anti-authoritarian for that shit. I'm too fucking anarchist for that. I'm like, do whatever the fuck you want as long as you're not hurting other people. I don't give a fuck what you do. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Anyway. Well, that's it. Like, share, subscribe, comment, and all that sort of stuff. I guess you do that on live streams. I don't fucking know. I want to make a fucking video. I don't want to do a live stream. I want to make a video, but I'm disabled and I'm in pain all the time, and even doing this is difficult. And I keep telling people, I wish you would read news. If you read news, you would be informed about this stuff long before it happened. The YouTube people, they report on until days later. Days later, you'll be hearing about this stuff from your YouTube people, the people you follow on social media. Me, I'm a nobody. I'm nothing. And I think maybe I like it that way. I don't know. I mean, I would like to make money, but I don't know. Thoughts. All right, I'm gonna get out and I'm gonna walk out of this with a remix of the Guns and Bombs. This is gonna be the Odd Harmonics. Goodbye, everybody. Out.